Yesterday, we told you about Narcan and how it works. Today, we learn why there are so many overdoses and ways you can help prevent them.
Just startling data, really. Deadly overdoses so high in southwest Michigan that they outpace traffic deaths and homicides combined. And then in Indiana, from 2016 to 2020, overdose deaths tripled in the state. They attribute that mostly to fentanyl, but what do you attribute that to?
People start out with things like Norcos, which is a common pain reliever given after surgery. If that doesn't work, then it's Percocet. If that doesn't work, you're looking at morphine, which most doctors are not going to be willing to prescribe, or you start going out on the street. Perhaps your doctor has said, I think you're probably hooked on something. We need to cut you back. And those folks will then go on the street for morphine, heroin, and fentanyl. Now, heroin is about twice as potent as morphine. Fentanyl is 100 times as potent as morphine, and it's 50 times as potent as heroin. So there's this potency effect of people are used to morphine or heroin, they're not used to the fentanyl. And so they think they can handle this dose, or they come out of jail, they've been dry, they're no longer habituated to that dose. So the usual dose they use before they go into jail will kill them if they try to use the same dose afterwards. So there's potency. The other thing, polysubstance. There's this, it seems that if you start using one drug, then you tend to combine them, mix and match, try to get the effect that you want. So benzos, which are also sedatives like Valium, they're sometimes mixed in to try to give you more of a mellow type of high. But when you combine those two, you've got morphine that suppresses breathing. You've got Ativan, Valium that also suppresses breathing. You combine them together. Either one alone, you wouldn't overdose on. Put them together, it's deadly. And so polysubstance use is the other reason why I think we're starting to see more of this. The potency of fentanyl, the polysubstance use of combining it with other drugs.
Just more people using drugs than before?
Yes, I think you're familiar with the increase in depression, anxiety. Ativan and Valium are used for anxiety. And so if you feel like this is just a really anxious day, I'm just going to take a little bit more. And so the thing is, you don't understand if you use that. And even with alcohol, if you combine benzos with alcohol, that itself can be also a deadly combination if you've never used those two substances together. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we forget sometimes that there are other substances that are legal. There's alcohol, there's tobacco, now there's marijuana. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're safe.
We've seen MDOT posting flyers for drug resources along rest stops throughout the state. The implication being talk to your kids about drugs while they're in the car with you. What advice would you give, though, for parents?
The average age of use within Michigan is 11 years old. 11 years old, that's fifth grade. So if you think that your kids haven't seen it yet, the average age of 11 means that some have actually seen it, not only seen it, but used it younger than fifth grade. And so, and age 11, I think every one of us remembers, primary school going into middle school, you're starting to form your views, your values and your opinions. And I would ask parents, who do you want forming those views and those values? Do you want their peers to form those views and those values? Or do you want yourself, your own voice speaking first? The earlier that you get in there, your voice will be heard first. They'll know that you're open to talking about that, and they'll come to you with questions. If you don't open that door with them, they'll think that's taboo. I'm not going to tell my parents that. Because, younger than age 11, they believe that what you say is the gospel. But after age 11, they start to, they're forming who they're going to be as an adult. If you don't think you know enough, there's materials available here at the health department at 2149 East Napier Avenue. Lisa Peoples-Hurst heads up our public health promotion prevention voice change health that tries to engage parents and schools with information. We can give you some flyers. There's also online SAMHSA with findtreatment.gov. Those areas, and you can Google any of that, SAMHSA, SAMHSA, to find a wealth of information online if you really don't want to or can't get to us here.
Well, such an important conversation. Thank you for joining me on the record this morning.
Happy to. Thank you.
Well, we'll have links to all of those resources on our website, abc57.com. Stay with us, Michiana, as we take a quick break.